Oh, we're live, so are we good?
Says
Let
we're
me
live.
just start my video.
Okay. So how do you, okay, so Carrie can talk?
Yes.
Carrie, you're all set. All right, thank you. All right, welcome everybody. It is Tuesday, June 9th, 20. So are we good?
Yes.
Yes.
Says
Let
we're
me
live.
just start my video.
Haley, Julie,
Yes.
mute yourselves. Okay, I'll say it again. Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. It is 6:30 p.m. This is the regularly scheduled Warren Town Council meeting. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. For the viewing public, we are going to go into executive session in a moment. When we return, I will give the sort of regular speech about Zoom protocols and opportunities for public to comment and be recognized. Town manager, to start, the town manager request for executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A1 regarding personnel terms of appointment for chief of police. The employee has been notified. We'll take an individual roll call for each executive session item.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for personnel regarding the chief of police.
I'll second it.
Joseph DePasquale, or Councilman DePasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Hanley.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Second, solicitor request for executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A1 regarding personnel, town manager's annual review. The employee has been notified.
I'll make a motion. We go into executive session for the town manager's review.
I'll second it.
Councilman DePasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Hanley.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda, and myself. Aye. We will go into executive session. To those who are watching, there will be a screen and letting you know that that is what is happening. We will return upon completion of the issues that we will be speaking about. If all of the council could hit the leave button, please.
Where's that?
Lower right.
I'm having, of course, I'm the one that says
There we go.
All right.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
I'm getting a message that when I go to start my video that I can't, the host has stopped it. So I don't know if that means Julie has to start my video, but I can't start on my end.
How about now?
There we are. Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Hear me now?
No, Joe, thank you.
You
Yeah.
can't.
So are we back live again?
Yes, all set, Carrie.
All righty. So we have come out of executive session. I'm just going to give the brief sort of talk about how the Zoom meetings work, and before we take our motions from executive session. So if everybody could just speak clearly, there are people who are listening in on this meeting by phone. As you speak, please identify yourself. I am Carrie Cronin, Council President. So as each of you speak, I will either if I have not identified you before you speak, please identify yourself. All votes will be by roll call, so we will call each council person for their vote. If there are any technical issues, we will pause. And for those who are listening by phone and would like to participate during the public hearing or have a question, you can use the number 9. That is the raise hand signal. And we will recognize you. All others who are participating in the Zoom webinar can use the raise hand feature that is somewhere at the bottom of your screen, I believe. So with that said, do we have the first item on the agenda is town manager. Appointment of acting chief of police, Roy Borges, to chief of police for the Warren Police Department, and in request for ratification of the chief's employment agreement by the town council. So we will entertain a motion with the understanding that upon hearing the vote, the contract will be subject to edits as discussed in executive session, and then final approval by the solicitor to be sure that it is legally sound and appropriate. So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the, go ahead, Steve.
You go ahead. No, you go ahead, John. All right, I'll take it. If you don't mind.
Okay, not at all.
I'll make a motion that we approve the appointment of acting chief of police Roy Borges to chief of police for the Warren Police Department, and request for a ratification of the chief's employment agreement by the town council as we discussed in executive session.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call. Councilman DePasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Hanley.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
Myself, aye. There we have it. Congratulations, Chief Borges. Welcome.
Congratulations, Chief.
Next, we have public comment, but as of 4 p.m. today, there was nobody who had registered for public comment, and I think that stands. Interviews, Tree Commission, there is still one position available. There must be somebody out there who would like to help us along with the tree commission. We are under review of the tree ordinance. There's a lot of good work to be done, so we hope somebody out there will submit an application. Can we get a motion to continue advertising on the town website, please?
So moved.
Motion to continue the advertising on the town website for the position of tree commission.
Second.
Councilman De Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. Next, we have the acceptance of minutes. Has everybody reviewed the minutes of May 12 and May 20?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept the minutes for the May 12th, 2020 council meeting?
Motion to accept the minutes from May 12th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Councilman De Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. Next, we have the Warren Town Council meeting of May 20. That was a special meeting regarding our final budget. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to
approve
accept the minutes from May 20th.
I'll second.
Councilman De Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. So all motions so far have passed unanimously. Next, we have a public hearing. Oh, wait. Turn that over. Yes, so we have public hearing, PH1, public hearing for a Class BV beverage license from Cigar World LLC, doing business as Cigar World East, 644 Metacom Avenue. So we have an application here for a beverage license for that business. We have seen these folks already, and now they are coming back for this BV license. I do believe their solicitor is available if anybody has any questions.
That's correct, Madam President. This was already approved by the town council, and it appeared after the approval that there was a flaw in the advertising for the alcohol beverage license only. And my advice to the town clerk and to the applicant was that the matter should be reheard by the council with proper notice. That proper notice has been had and reapproved. So this is essentially another vote on a liquor license that has already been approved by the town council.
Motion to approve.
We have
Second.
a public hearing, guys.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Councilman De Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and myself, aye.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second that.
I have one question, and if the lawyer is available, it came to our attention this past week, I believe, that there was a cigar bar somewhere in the state of Rhode Island that was operating when they should not have been. I just want to make sure that that was not one of these folks' establishments, just to be perfectly open and transparent.
Madam President, I did have a chance to investigate that after we discussed the matter this afternoon. And the cigar bar you're referring to was not owned or one of the entities that is owned by this particular applicant. And as a matter of fact, the applicant here has a clean record of no violations of that nature.
Good to know. So we have a motion and a second to approve. Councilman De Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. So BV license approved. Petitions, P1. So this is a request for a Class F beverage license from the Rotary Club of Warren. Timothy Prey, Quahog Festival chairperson. The date for this event is Saturday and Sunday, July 18th and 19th of 2020. Saturday will be from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. down at Burrs Hill Park on Water Street. This is the annual Quahog Festival. So we have a series of petitions for the Quahog Festival. The first is the Class F beverage license, then we have an entertainment, and then the changing of the street. So whatever we decide here tonight in regard to these petitions will of course be subject to and contingent upon state regulations and whatever the governor's declarations exist at that time.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve P1, P2, and P3 pending any requirements imposed by the current state of emergency. I mean, this is the Quahog Festival. We're all familiar with it. I don't think anybody has an issue. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so just to be clear with this motion, P1 is the Class F, P2 is the entertainment license, and then P3 has to do with the was request permission to make the south end of Water Street from Campbell to Bridge Street one way with traffic flow going only southbound, to allow parking on the east side of the south end of Water Street, and to make the first section of the beach parking at all in that lot all handicap parking. So this is how we do it every year. I just wanted to be clear that people understood what that P3 was. So Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
for myself, aye. So Ps 1, 2, and 3 all pass unanimously.
May I ask, that's with the condition that they comply with the governor's executive orders?
I thought that was part of my motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Next, we have correspondence. Is there anything in correspondence that any member of the council would like to pull out for discussion?
Kerry, I'd like to pull out C8 just to see if we need to take any action on the recommendations from the Traffic Commission.
Okay.
They made a series of recommendations, and I'm assuming that we would need to take action on them to bring them to fruition.
Mr. DeSisto, is that so? Can we take action on these, or does the Traffic Commission operate outside and are allowed to make these decisions?
Well, some of these, some of what their recommendations are do need town council action. But what we're going to have to do on an administrative basis is make sure that we have everything in order for business here. I think what the traffic administrative group is attempting to do here is just to let you know where they are on some of these issues as they go forward.
Okay, and once they get them finalized, they'll come back for our ratification.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. And does anybody want to pull anything else out for discussion? Hearing none, we can move on to old business. Old business 1 is the extension and or amendment of declaration of state of emergency. This will be the, is this the 6th amended declaration of emergency?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion here?
No.
No, other than the 4th paragraph, the first sentence seems to read a little oddly. Am I reading that incorrectly? Now therefore the town council of the town of Warren, Kerry, Cronin pursuant, didn't that say president? Am I reading that incorrectly?
But by Jove, there's a typo in there. You can approve it so long as that sentence is corrected.
Yep, thank you.
All righty. And we made no amendments to this, to the 5th amended declaration between the last meeting and this meeting. So this can stand as it is. So do we have a motion?
Motion to continue the state of emergency until the next scheduled town council meeting.
Second.
Should we add a caveat unless, of course, the state dissolves the state of emergency, then we would follow suit?
I think if that happens, I think we could convene an emergency meeting and do it that way rather than have to. Yeah, because I think the last time we talked about that, but I think Anthony said there was a problem to have it expire when the state's expires.
Okay,
Yes, and you know, the state, there's some of the governor's executive orders have already been extended out to July 8th, so it'll be tying in with your next meeting.
okay. All righty, so did we have a motion?
I made the motion.
And I seconded it.
All righty, so all in favor, Councilman Di Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. The amendment of declaration of state emergency passes unanimously. 2, adoption of 2020-2021 final budget. I feel like we've done this many times, but it's gone from us to the state. Now it's back to us to finally approve. Do we need to add any numbers to this, or can we just have a motion to adopt the 2021 final budget?
It's Kate here. Yeah, I think you just adopt it as advertised and as approved at your last meeting.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt and approve the last advertised budget.
Second.
All in favor, Councilman Di Pasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. So we have finally adopted the final budget of 2021. Check that off. New business. So number 1 is discussion and action regarding a town council resolution in response to the murder of George Floyd and in support of Black Lives Matter. Kate shared with the council the draft of this resolution. With your permission, I will read it. And if there are comments afterwards, we can discuss. And if there may be comment from the public, possibly. So let's go. So Town of Warren resolution of the Town Council, June 5th, 2020, resolved. Whereas the Town of Warren recognizes racism as a public health crisis. And whereas racism is defined as the marginalization and/or oppression of people of color based on socially constructed racial hierarchy that privileges white people, and whereas racism shows up in all aspects of our lives and society, in interpersonal communication, through discriminatory policies and practices, in biased language, and in our laws and institutions. And whereas many unarmed Black lives have been lost due to police brutality and systemic racism, including George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Deion Johnson, Tony McDade, Tamir Rice, Laquan McDonald, John Crawford, Freddie Gray, Walter Scott, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Antoine Rose, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Deborah Danner, Tatiana Jefferson, and Breonna Taylor. Whereas Black Lives Matter is an activist movement which began as a hashtag Black Lives Matter, in July 2013, when white civilian George Zimmerman was acquitted in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin, an unarmed African-American teenager killed in Florida. The Black Lives Matter movement became more widely acknowledged and highlighted after 2 2014 high-profile deaths of unarmed African-American men, Eric Garner in Staten Island, New York, and Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Neither of the police officers involved in their deaths were formally charged with a crime. And whereas Black women and girls are also target of racism, violence, and murder, which has sparked the Say Her Name movement. And whereas the pyramid of hate illustrates how the levels of biased attitudes and behaviors grow in complexity from the bottom to top, like a pyramid, the upper levels are supported by the lower levels, and it becomes increasingly difficult to challenge and dismantle as behaviors escalate. Bias at each level negatively impacts individuals, institutions, and society. When bias goes unchecked, it becomes normalized and contributes to a pattern of accepting discrimination, hate, and injustice in society. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Warren hereby pledges to strive to uphold the principles of equity and justice through its actions, budgets, policies, and procedures. Further, it is recognized that this is a time to listen and to learn with a goal of more complete understanding of the needs of the community and to create space for new voices to be heard. The town of Warren, through its town council, commits to being anti-racist, offers its support to those who would expose bias and injustice with the goal of a better tomorrow, including but not limited to the Black Lives Matter movement and Say Her Name movement. That is the resolution as it stands right now. Do we have any discussion from the council and or any comments from the public? Councilman Heckert.
I think it's very well written and it's very timely. It shows that the town of Warren understands some of these issues and the need to stay active and make sure that we're fulfilling this need to support minorities in general. And so I support this resolution.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I would like to simply state that hearing the list of names is rather short when you think of the thousands of people that have been lynched across this country. And if for nothing more, this is a start for us to be on the record stating that we do not tolerate or accept discrimination, hate, bigotry, violence, and it's our responsibility to let that be known. So I'm in support.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is anybody on the line to speak?
We don't have anybody on the line, Carrie.
Okay. I had been, or Councilman Hanley or Kalenda, did you want to speak?
No, I have no problem with the resolution. I think it's, I've always been against that, and I don't have a problem actually putting it in the form of a resolution, so.
Councilman Kalenda?
The resolution is well done. I mean, it is perfectly timed. It is more than appropriate. Of course, I support it. And I am in full confidence that our police department will be the leader in making sure that everyone is treated equally and justly. Well done. Thank you.
May I, again?
Yep.
Well, and thank you, Steve, for mentioning the police department again, because I think it's appropriate, but this goes beyond our police department. This goes to us, the council, and for our whole form of government and how we conduct ourselves and what practices we take. So it's pretty comprehensive, and I think that's where we need to be at this point.
Thank you, everybody. In the chat, there is a message of support from Deshelle Palmer. Deshelle is the young woman, the young Black woman who organized this past weekend's protest and march. And I had the great good fortune and honor to speak with her the other day, which was inspiring and just really, it was a very important conversation to me, and I had asked if she would review this, because I think as important as these resolutions are, they don't have as much weight behind them unless they are acknowledged by Black people. And she was gracious enough to read it, and I'm really pleased to know that she supports it. Councilman DePasquale's mentioning of the short list of names, believe me, I would have added many, many more, and there are so many more that it bears mentioning that the list is never ending, but it must stop. And I think that it is really a meaningful thing that we will do here by approving this. I would also like to include in a motion that this be passed along to all other councils, school committees, and our legislators as well, and to the governor and our federal delegation.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Oh, Carrie, we have,
We have another. Okay. We have Mark Dobbin who would like to speak. How do we make that happen?
Hello.
Mark, you're live.
Hi, Mark Dobbin speaking. Just wanted to mention that a major facet of the activism surrounding this issue currently is pointing towards defunding and reallocating police funds towards other social services. And I know that the book is kind of closed on this one for this year, but specifically just thinking back on the 2 Harley Davidsons that were recently purchased for the police department, I can only wonder if maybe those funds would have possibly been better spent on social services such as mental health to the community, or various social services that should be in the hands of trained professionals and not foisted upon the police department to deal with. So just a thought, maybe moving forward, especially with the new acting chief, maybe that's something we can address next year about how those funds are all being allocated. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Mark, you may have heard and noticed, or you may have heard in my reading of the resolution that I specifically said the word budgets to address that very issue, that going forward, I think it will be incumbent upon us to consider how we are funding, how our budgets impact the our value to combat racism in any form, and to make it be known in the way that we spend our money. And yes, funding social, emotional, mental health issues and support is a way to do that. We have another comment, I believe. Mark Alvin. And Deshelle Palmer agrees. Great point. Do we have? So, Julie, we say we have someone who wants to speak, but that was Mark. Am I correct? Or is there?
Yes, that is correct. That was the only hand raised.
All right. All righty. So if there are no other comments from the public or comments to be heard, do we have a motion?
you have a motion and a second already.
And we shall vote. Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we have a discussion and action on becoming a My Brother's Keeper community. This was an agenda item sent forward by Councilman DePasquale. If you would like to speak about your understanding of what it means to become a My Brother's Keeper community.
Yes.
Can you do that?
I listened to President Obama's speech last week. I'm not sure what day it was, but it made me go to the computer to research what he was speaking about. And upon reading the organization that he's created through his endowment, it's My Brother's Keeper, and it's not a simple task, but it's not something that we can't do. There are 250 communities, I believe, cities and towns that are participating. It's a set of standards to work with the schools as well as all of our officials, as well as a bar that we're going to raise and try to make sure that anything we can do to help remove the barriers and stumbling blocks and curves in the road for children of color, specifically boys of color, but I would like to include, and I do wonder why the language isn't people of color with the boys and girls, but that's the minutia. What I'm recommending is that we give this to the town manager to research and share with the school committee, the schools, all of our departments, however she feels it would be best applied to the best people that can bring it back to the council for discussion and implementation. But listening to the president and also enlightening myself on the difficulties of the past 400 years in this country for people of color, I think, again, it is the least of our responsibility that we should try to do something in actual policy and procedure to set us apart from the communities who simply say it's not happening here. It's happening everywhere. And by taking a position, we're doing a positive action, and we're acknowledging that there are problems and that we know this, and we're going to try to implement a procedure to help, period.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. I've done some research myself on the My Brother's Keeper program, and I feel like the values stated and the objectives of the program, I believe, are core values that we as a community possess, but there is always more that we can and should do, especially now, to ensure that all Black lives are given the opportunity that they deserve and is rightfully theirs in a equitable society. And I would agree that probably the best next step is to send this over to Manager Michaud to do a little research onto how a program like this, which is a major, major undertaking, could be implemented here at a local level, and including the schools would of course be part of that. I appreciate you including young women and Black young women and girls in the program or in whatever efforts we have, because the statistics for Black women and girls being the victims of brutality and violence and incarceration and murder are growing, not shrinking. So we have to be very explicit in our intentions and our expressions of what our goals are. So I would support asking the manager to review how we could implement, if not joining the program in officially, at least adopting its principles in some way into our day-to-day operations, both at the town level and at the school level. Anybody else?
I would certainly support looking at this program. Anything that we can do as a town and a community to support minorities and promote equality, prevent injustice, any of those things, I think is what we should be looking at. And depending on the, what's involved with joining the group and what our responsibilities would be. Absolutely. I don't see why we shouldn't look at this. So thank you for bringing it forward, Joe.
And we should also include Native Indigenous peoples and LGBTQIA people. I mean, we really do need to take a hard check and look at ourselves and how we treat our fellow people and acknowledge how we got to where we are right now.
My intention isn't to rewrite this. It is to incorporate everything else that you're saying, but this is the president's work. This is the president's creation. And again, carrying out the philosophy on how we treat everyone. I would love to be able to repeat Truth, Justice, and the American Way from the cartoons of the 60s and 70s to really mean that to everyone. Because sometimes when I think about the Truth, Justice, and the American Way, I get real troubled on what the American way is. So we need help, and this is a step in that direction.
Do we have a motion to have the town manager, look into this further?
I support that motion. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
And we have a vote. Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Thank you. Solicitor, discussion and action regarding a claim filed by Ruby Williams.
Yes, the complainant here was struck by a vehicle owned by the Bristol County Water Authority in East Providence. And it was a heavy hit to her car. But, you know, unfortunately in this circumstance, the town of Warren has nothing to do with this. As you know, the Bristol County Water Authority is a separate governmental entity. I'm going to ask that you deny the claim. That's the first thing. Typically, my advice and recommendation is then to refer the matter to the interlocal trust. I do not recommend that you do that here because I don't want it to go to your claims experience. Rather, what I'm going to ask you to do in denying the claim is to authorize me to send a very heavy letter to Ruby's lawyer and let him know that he sent the claim to the wrong governmental entity.
And if I may, Madam President, is Tony, do you think he was just confused, thinking that we were part of their group because we're the town of Warren?
I don't know. The last time that this particular lawyer filed a claim with the Warren Town Council, it was for an injury that allegedly occurred on the bike path in the town of Barrington. So I can't gainsay exactly why this comes to the town, but I'd like to set him on the correct course.
When I was reading his letter, I was also a little bit confused. I'm like, why are we being, notified of this? So, yeah, I would support that, Madam President, that the solicitor do exactly what he said.
I think it's a dragnet technique, and he's trying to just see if anybody will bite. So I'll make a motion to deny. And what was the second, Tony? Just to refer it back to the Water Authority, or just to
No, refer it back to him.
Just deny, and that's it. Motion to deny, refer back.
Authorize the solicitor to send a letter.
So moved.
Second.
Second that, yep.
Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
myself, aye. Motion passes 100%. Okay. Rec Director, Ms. Thibodeau, are you with us? Laura? Hello? Kate, do you want?
Oh, there we go.
Yep, there she's on. Tara's on.
All righty. So Tara has 4 agenda items. Do you want to start at the beginning, Tara? Are you ready?
Sure, yes.
Okay. So number one, request to overspend account number 01-560-12-1010 Recreation Director to be offset by account number 01-560-12-1025 Lifeguard Staff in the amount not to exceed $3,600.
Yes.
Just little explanation.
So it's just especially because of the COVID situation, that this is what will take me through the rest of the spring to July 1st.
Are you covering this in another part of your budget?
Yes, the lifeguard staff.
All right, motion to approve.
Second,
Councilman DePasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
aye.
myself, aye, motion passes. Number two, request permission to purchase 3 picnic tables not to exceed $3,800, funding through Camp Summer Food Program, master price agreement. Again, Tara, you can.
Yep. So as part of the summer food service program, you need to spend the profits of that program on the food program itself. So these 3 tables will not only help us with the summer camp program, but it will also help us with the summer food program. So they're actually running a deal right now. The company, you get a percentage off because of the PPP grants that they've received. So this is the perfect time to purchase these 3 picnic tables.
Madam President, can I ask a quick question for Tara?
Yes,
Tara, hey, it's Steve Kalenda. Tara, are these going to be composite?
these are.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering that too. I was gonna say,
A little pricey for
$1,200 for a picnic table. I'd make them for you.
And they're actually hexagon picnic tables, so they're
Okay.
they're going to be a little bit better actually for the summer program. But yeah, I found that the composite ones last longer, especially near the salt water.
Tara, we need to take a pause. There's some technical issues.
Would we lose?
Julie just let me know that there's some technical audio issues, I believe. And I hope she will let us know when they are resolved. Things do sound a bit tinny.
Motion to approve.
We need to pause, sorry.
Are you sure we need to? Did everybody hear me?
It-
The public can't hear us. That's
Yeah,
show you my dog at my feet. Oops.
They can see us. They can't hear us. So just be careful, Steve.
Carrie,
yep,
hi, I think we're all set. I apologize.
it's okay. All righty, so we have Councilman DePasquale made a motion to approve number 2, request permission to purchase 3 picnic tables not to exceed $3,800, funding through Camp Summer Food Program, master price agreement. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Yes, second.
Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Hecker,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay, next we have discussion and action regarding beach parking for summer 2020. Tara or Kate, do you want to explain the issues with municipalities charging, not charging, residents, non-residents?
Sure, Kate here, and I'll lead off, and then obviously Tara's got more information and details. we started talking about this, we started talking about this with the council during the budget process about having some management of parking at the beach. It's probably, in the summertime, it's probably one of the top complaints that I get are people who Warren residents who want to use the beach and there's not enough parking available. It's more of an issue this year because of the COVID issue and the need to manage the attendance at the park, at the beach, and also because there are other communities who are limiting the ability of non-residents to visit their beaches, which is basically cutting down on the availability of beaches around the state for people to use. So the idea, originally we had talked about, in your packet, you'll see that there was a memorandum from Tara, which talked about allowing free parking, but just for residents only during the hours that lifeguards were on duty. We just heard back recently from Department of Environmental Management, and because we have received grant funds for the park, we are not able to restrict parking to Warren residents only. So as an alternative, I've done some research on what surrounding communities are doing. And it seems that many surrounding communities are doing season passes for their residents and then day passes for non-residents. Some communities charge residents for these season passes and some communities do not. But everybody charges for the day passes. So that is the current proposal for the council to institute a charge for a day pass for non-Warren residents and institute a sticker system for Warren residents. And it would be under the council's purview. For example, Bristol charges $10 for a sticker. Barrington charges $30 for a sticker, and it's free for anyone who's over the age of 65. So I think the options are that you could charge whatever you want, but you could have a tiered system between residents and seniors. Or Anthony was actually going to look into whether he thought that we could actually have a free sticker available for Warren residents and then just do the day parking for non-residents, or if for some reason a Warren person did not want to get a free sticker, they would have to pay the day rate.
Who's going to police this?
So Tara has in her budget, as part of the current budget, staff to work at the entrance, but it would only be during the hours that lifeguards are on duty.
So coordinated with the park program.
Correct.
Councilman Hackert?
I'm a bit confused. You're saying we could offer a free season pass, but we can't offer free parking.
So we can offer a free season pass, but we can't tell non-residents that they cannot come to the beach. So I think that's the distinction, and I probably wasn't clear in the way that I described it.
Okay, that makes sense. Right. We can't, well, I'm not going to use the discriminate and not allow non-residents to come. So, okay,
Right.
I understand.
And there are some towns that are doing that they're only limiting their beach use to residents. But because we have used certain DEM funds at that park, we are not able to do that at this location.
So there would be a cost for non-residents, and if we chose, there could be free for residents.
As long as Anthony agrees with that, and I think he had wanted a final look at that before approving.
That's
And-
correct, yes.
And to be clear, anybody can walk onto the beach or ride their bike to the beach. This is exclusively this is managing the parking situation. So somebody who lives within Warren but is not within walking or biking distance to the beach and wants to park there, this addresses those needs, as well as somebody from outside of the community who wants to drive in and use the beach and park there. This addresses that issue. Anybody can walk onto the beach. And
Absolutely.
Grass or Burrs Hill Park, those are all open to the public.
Madam President, may I ask Kate a question, please?
Councilman Kalenda, then Councilman Hanley has his hand up after.
Kate, is two things. Is it possible for us to loop this sticker into what we already do with at the transfer station.
Bingo.
Just about everybody in town probably has a transfer station sticker. And if we're gonna do free for the season, then maybe we can just incorporate it with that so that we don't have a multitude of stickers going up people's vehicles. And then the other question I have is, will we be doing a money exchange? Or is it all based, you have to have a sticker?
So to answer the first question first, I did talk to Tara, and if the council wants to do this, other towns do allow transfer station stickers to also be used for beach access. I think that makes sense because they've already proved residency. We would not issue transfer station stickers at the beach, but if somebody already has one, then they would be able to use it for entrance.
Yeah, and if we wanted to increase a fee to incorporate that to offset it, then, you know, that's, at least we already have a mechanism in place.
Right.
Yeah. Then the second.
I'm sorry, what was the second question?
So is it going to be a cash ability for somebody to day park?
Yes, and that's the reason for having the attendant that would be working at the park for day passes only.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Councilman Hanley.
Yeah, I think Mr. Kalenda read my notes. That was exactly what I was gonna ask. But I think it should be free for the residents. I mean, if you have, and obviously if you already have the transfer station pass, yeah, you proved it. But I think it should be free for the residents with the charge for the non-residents. Did we come up with a number, Kate?
So Tara did have a recommendation. Tara, what was that recommendation that you had?
So my first question is, and this is a Tony question. So always in the past, we've not been allowed to not charge. If we charge nothing for the Warren residents, then we can't charge anything for non-Warren residents. So I just want to make sure that because DEM, that you can only charge non-residents 50% more than you choose, than you offer to the town. So I want to make sure first that we're not compromising on that.
Well, you know, I discussed the matter with Kate today on it, and what concerns me is that, you know, we have knowledge that a lot of communities do not follow that scheme, and that's something that DEM told Warren that they have to do. So I'm currently researching that, going on a town by town basis to see what the situation is, and also not only that, but what the legal basis is for it. Question comes down to funding, of course, and where the funding source is from. And I need to kind of tie some issues up on that, Tara, before I give an opinion.
Okay, so I have, so when I looked at this plan originally back in April, I had given the council the plan of Warren residents would pay $5 daily. Non-Warren residents would pay $10. And a Warren resident could get a parking sticker, a yearly parking sticker for $10. And then seniors and veterans would be free. That was the original tiered system. But if the council wants to do it differently, I know Kate is suggesting that the yearly pass would be free. So just let me know what you want to do and we'll create the language.
If I could,
Councilman De Pasquale.
Historically, what we did to solve all of the confusion is you purchased a transfer station sticker for $20 and it got you into the beach. If you didn't want to use the transfer station sticker, then you didn't get to go to the beach. Basically, what it does is it still covers the cost that we charge at the transfer station, and it just said beach and transfer station. So you could look at it as maybe a great deal for somebody who wanted to go to the beach and the transfer station, or a great deal for somebody who just wanted to go to the transfer station. But the $20 isn't to go to the beach. It's to go to the beach and already the current cost of the transfer station. So you're not reprinting stickers and you're not having a different process. You're just basically throwing in either access to the transfer station or access to the beach. But that's how it used to be.
So the only issue I see there is if a resident wants to use the beach, is not aware that they need to go to the transfer station isn't open, they've missed, they're not able to get there and make that transaction. It would seem that the best idea would to have, to have the option of using a transfer station sticker as a beach pass, and another option that would be for sale right there at the parking lot with proof of residency.
Well, what they did, I believe, and I didn't work there, but I believe they just shared the list. So if you did get a sticker at the beach, it would go in the book, and then that information is transferred to the station. You have to show your registration somewhere.
Okay. Apparently there's somebody wants to speak, but we don't know who they are.
I mean, it may not be what we want to do. I'm just saying that was, how it was done.
Okay.
And it took care of the cost aspect also. You see, that's the other interesting thing of doing it that way, is if you wanted to charge out of state or out of town people, they can't use the transfer station, so they're strictly paying for the parking at the beach.
Okay. We have somebody who has a comment, who is
Sure.
unmuted.
Can I speak?
You may. Can you just give us your name and your address?
Sure, Louis Rego, 12 Taddy Avenue.
Mr. Rego.
Sure, I have two comments. One is I'm wondering if there's a restriction, a deed restriction that even allows us to charge at Burris Hill Park. And then my second comment would be, I have 4 vehicles. I go to the transfer station with my dump. I don't take my convertible. So would I need 4 stickers? Or could I just show you my license showing you that I'm a resident? Why do we need all the stickers? If we're a resident, we could just prove it. Registration or license.
Valid comment. That's what we're discussing here.
Yeah, I think we're more restrictive on verifying residency at the transfer station because of the out of town, out of state trash. I don't think we would be as vigilant enforcing the parking at the beach. In other words, don't we take a couple extra steps to make sure we're not getting out of state trash, Kate, at the transfer station?
We are very, very strict about that at the transfer station because we have to be.
Yeah, but you just look at the registration.
Right.
They either get a sticker or they don't. I mean, you've got the 20 spaces at the beach. They're either going to be filled and become valuable or they're not.
I mean,
Perhaps-
we have had issues where someone doesn't have a registration that has their Warren address because they've just moved here or there's some other circumstance. So, occasionally it does come up that it's a little bit more complicated, but I'm sure it's nothing we can't figure out.
Perhaps we could do like a hybrid where either a transfer station sticker or a $10 season pass for residents, and then non-residents could be $5 per day. So that way we're not hitting you twice. If you paid for the transfer station, you're already included.
Yep.
I think $10 for a season pass is pretty cheap. $10 for a season pass for a resident and $5 per day for non-residents. Would something like that possibly work?
That makes sense. The only issue, as Mr. Rego brings up, is his transfer station sticker is on his truck, but he wants to go to the beach in his convertible. He needs to have some proof of his $10 $10 season pass or his transfer station sticker. So whether that is proof by, you know, just having a screenshot of it on his phone, or if there's an additional sort of paper copy that can, the receipt from the transfer station, there just needs to be a way for a person who is not in the vehicle that has the transfer station sticker to prove that they have that. Councilman Kalenda.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. You could always get multiple transfer station tickets, you know, for different vehicles, or as you said, the proof of you know, you have a transfer station. Here's your little proof of copy, so that way you can take any vehicle you want. The transfer station's all by weight, so it doesn't matter how many stickers you have on your vehicles, you get 1,000 pounds free, I think. You know, so once you exceed that, you're paying just like the general public. So, you know, we could either give multiple stickers for folks that want to have multiple vehicles options that are our residents, or some other proof of payment option. That's all.
Or you get the multiple beach stickers and the one transfer for the registration at the dump. Multiple beach stickers per family for one cost.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes sense.
Or a placard, like you said, doesn't have, at the beach, it doesn't have to be a sticker. The reason they do it there at the town is because of the vehicle bringing it in.
Well, the only
town yard.
Yeah, the only thing you want to make sure is that that little placard doesn't find its way to other vehicles that aren't residents of the town.
And I also add, though, we need to keep it simple, because the more difficult or the more complex we make it, the less likely it is to be successful. And to Louis' point about if there is a deed restriction on fees, the Warren Town parking at the beach has always had fees, with the exception of, I want to say, the last 6 or 7 years. So I don't think we're going against what's already been done in the past. I have no problem with one of the youth, you know, giving out stickers, but I also don't want them getting into fights with people. So again, I want to keep this as simple as possible, but there is a big problem with not enough parking especially on the weekends at that location. So if we can charge however you want to handle it, but I think that we need to have something in place.
Okay, we have Mr. Rego would like to speak again, and then Councilman Heckert, I believe, also would like to speak. So if he is still unmuted, Mr. Rego.
Yes, so I guess my thing was this, and I understand the problem. I don't have a problem with you charging outside residents. But, you know, as a taxpayer, I'm paying to police the beach. I'm paying to maintain the beach. I don't want to pay to go to the beach. As council people, we're here to serve our community, and to charge us or put us through getting another sticker. I mean, the transfer station is totally different. You're bringing in trash and stuff, but to enjoy the beach, and for you to ask me to pay for another sticker, I really don't think it's right. I have no problem showing identification to show you, and everyone has a license that has a car. So that shouldn't be any problem for someone to show that they're a resident. That's my comment.
Thank you. Mr. Councilman Heckert.
I agree with Mr. Rego that I think that it should be free for residents to go to the beach. I think we should make it as easy as possible. I think showing a registration or a license should suffice to prove your residency. I know the manager mentioned that not everyone has a local registration, even though they might be a resident, and there could be some of that. But I think for the most part, probably a very large percentage of people can prove their residency, again, through registration or license. And I think we should just go that route, and it will make it a lot easier. As Tara said, we need to keep this as simple as possible. So that's my input.
The only problem with that, and I agree, I don't want to charge Warren residents to park in the parking lot. The only problem, and this is again, Tony has to look into this, is is that illegal? Is doing that illegal?
Can we have two comments. We have one from from Councilman Hanley and one from Councilman DePasquale, and I also had a thought. So I think Anthony has said he's going to work on that question. So Councilman Hanley?
Yeah, I don't think this is about the fee. I think this is to act as a deterrent to out of town residents. And like Tara said, if we don't charge, if we don't charge Warren residents and then we can't charge non-Warren residents, we don't have any deterrent to keep those spaces open for Warren residents. Now, I agree. I don't want to charge anybody else a fee from town to park there, but if that eliminates us from creating a deterrent for out-of-towners to come in, then there's not going to be any spaces for them to park. So even though they can park there for free, if there's nowhere for them to park, they're not parking. So it's more of to set up a deterrent for the out-of-town people. And if the only way we can do that is to charge, the only way we can charge them is if we charge Warren residents, I don't see any other way to deter them from parking there, especially if we can't limit it to resident parking only.
Councilman DePasquale, it looks like you were going to say the same thing.
Well, yeah, well, what I wanted to do is to state it a little bit. Yeah, remember, the policy that we're trying to create has to hit a few salient points. And one, if there is going to be an out-of-town fee based upon a resident fee, that needs to be there. Second point, for simplicity, when there is a sticker or a placard on a car, the person that is in charge of the lot doesn't have to have any interaction with that car. They drive in. So if you're looking for the simplest route versus having somebody confront every single person and ask for a driver's license, I don't find that to be simple.
One more time, Councilman Kalenda, did you need to say something more?
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, I want to make sure we're perfectly clear. Sometimes things get a little confusing over these meetings. I'm not saying that we're going to charge our residents. I'm saying if we can use the transfer station as the mechanism that shows you are a resident, then there's your beach pass. If you don't have a transfer station sticker because you don't go to the transfer station as a resident, then just get something else that shows you are a resident, and that's how you drive into the beach parking lot. Joe's correct, though. If a staff member's there asking somebody for a license or a registration, it's going to get a little complicated, because I guarantee you somebody's going to drive into the beach saying, I just moved to town, but my license says I live in Pawtucket or East Providence. Yeah, so my suggestion would be using the transfer station as part of the process. And it's at $20, you know, that gets you transfer station to get to the beach. And then if you don't have one for your vehicle that's a transfer station, just get another sticker that shows you already paid for the transfer station. Or it's free, you know, because you don't go to the transfer station.
Ms. Coelho would like to speak.
I go to Sandy Point Beach in Portsmouth quite a bit, and they have a staff member from the park there that sits at a little table, and if you don't have a license and registration from Portsmouth, you pay. The only time it's going to be an issue is if somebody doesn't want to pay. I don't think it's going to come up every single time someone drives in. I mean, if you're going to give someone a sticker for that, then the next time they come, it wouldn't be an issue. So it's only going to be that one time that they come and they don't have the sticker. After that, they would have the sticker and could drive by. I don't think everybody every day is going to come and have never been there without a sticker. I don't think it's going to be as much traffic as you think of different people every day, 10 times a day. So I think that the sticker part, once they had the sticker, the resident sticker, they would be all set. So that there's a lot of people that go every day to the beach. Once those parking spots are filled up, they're filled up. I think you're making it more complicated than it needs to be.
Manager Michaud, do you want to chime in here?
Sure. So I think I can summarize what I'm hearing. First, Julie, unfortunately, I did the research today and you can't go to Sandy Point Beach this year. It's residents only, period. You can't pay to go. But I think in our situation, there are other towns, and Anthony can do the research to confirm this, but there are other towns who I believe are in the same situation as us, who have established a day rate. So the day rate would be, as Tara said, maybe it's $5 a day for residents, $10 a day for non-residents. But residents would be eligible for a sticker, which would not be available to non-residents. The day passes, the season passes would only be available to residents. And I believe that, and we can, again, confirm this, that, if we could make that sticker free, then there really would be no need for anyone to get a day pass as a resident, unless for some reason they were not willing to get a sticker.
But doesn't the sticker, for us to be able to charge a day rate to non-residents, don't we have to charge our residents?
For a day pass, we would definitely have to have a rate for a day pass for residents and non-residents. But for a season's pass, we do not have to offer those to non-residents. That's my understanding. And it's kind of convoluted. And again, Anthony will have to confirm that that's the way it should be. But from the research I'm doing on other communities, it seems that that's something that's being done.
Kate, is that just because of the situation this year with COVID? Or is this something that they will continue in the future?
I don't know. And I think we would have to approach this from the standpoint that we will need to reevaluate. And we may need to reevaluate mid-season. We may come back to you next month and say, this isn't working the way we wanted it to work. But we will definitely have to come back to it at the end of the season or over the winter and determine how we want to handle things next year, if there's changes that need to be made, or if it's working the way it is.
Okay. Oh, I just went out of that screen. Mr. Rego would like to speak one more time, and then I think we need to wrap it up. And if I understand, I understand.
I'm sorry to beat a dead horse. That's not my intentions, and I can understand. I can understand that if you charge one, in other words, if you're going to charge outsiders, you have to charge residents. But you know what? I think we've already been charged. Again, we as taxpayers, we pay to maintain that property. We pay to police it. So I think that in itself says that we're paying, and that's my point.
All right, and we do have a comment from Deshelle Palmer saying, what if resident of Warren are trying to use the parking lot for the basketball court? They should not have to pay. Which is
and again, they would be able to get the resident sticker for whatever use they want to park there for. And if it was off hours when the lifeguard's not on duty, then the parking lot would be available for anybody free of charge.
All right. So it would seem to me like the logical thing to do is issue season pass stickers to Warren residents. Clerk's office should have season passes. Yes, at the clerk's office, at the transfer station, there should be season pass stickers available to all Warren residents. And a transfer station sticker would also be acceptable, and non-Warren residents would have to pay a day rate. And that way, Warren residents don't have to pay additionally over their taxes to enjoy the beach if they want to drive there. And non-residents would pay a $5 day rate. That works, right?
Yeah, Carrie, I got a motion, see if we can close this up.
That would be wonderful.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we set the fee at the town beach for residents, $5 for a day pass or $5 for a season pass, whichever they choose. Non-residents would be $10 per day. A transfer station sticker will also allow for parking at the beach. That way there, it's $5 max for a resident We can charge the $10 for the non-resident because I don't see the fee as the problem. I see the availability as the problem. We want a deterrent to keep the non-residents out of the spaces. And I think $10 a day will do that. And by the 5 for the season pass and 5 for the day pass, it allows us to double that to charge the $10 for the non-resident. And it's still only $5 for residents for the whole year. Or if you got a transfer station sticker, you're good.
Right. And that the $20 covers that as well. Yeah.
Correct.
So you just, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the motion is that we charge residents $5 for a season pass or a day pass, non-residents $10 for a day pass, and a transfer station sticker counts towards resident parking.
Beach and transfer.
Correct.
$20. That's what I said. That's what we used to do. I mean, I don't think we did the out of town. We were able to exclude in the past the out of town.
Yeah,
That-
out of town couldn't pay. Out of towners could not park in that parking lot.
Right.
Right. And that's what I remember historically with the $20, like John was saying, the one, the sticker, John, your parents probably had one on the car. It said
Yeah.
beach and transfer. Right on.
I got one on my aunt's car that I got from her estate that says beach transfer on it.
Yeah.
So Tara, do you think that your staff person who is on duty at the beach, what will be the method of purchase for either a day pass for a non-resident or resident or a season pass for a resident? Will they be equipped with the passes to sell and cash? And will these be cash transactions? How is this all going to work?
Yes, so they would have all the equipment to give out stickers, will purchase stickers. They will have a cash box to make change and to collect, and a record a notebook or a book to record all transactions.
Okay, and could we maybe, through the clerk's office could also sell the season passes if that is, if the council agrees that the clerk's office could sell the season passes for $5. And if there's any financial hardship, there needs to be a no questions asked policy for those seasons passes.
So if I could interrupt for just 1 second, some of the other communities have made the decision, and I'm just bring it up there, that the season passes, there'd be no charge for veterans or those age 65 or older.
Oh, right, we had
So
that.
just something for your consideration.
That's fine. I'll include that in my motion as well. Yeah.
All right, so could you please restate the motion, and we're sure it covers all of the bases?
Okay, my motion is that for the beach parking, residents pay $5 for either a day pass or a season pass. The reason I'm saying that is nobody's going to buy the day pass, but at least if we have the two rates legally, if we can only double it for non-residents, we're covered there. That's why it sounds a little weird, but it is phrased that way. $5 for either a day pass or a season pass. Non-residents are $10 per day. A transfer station sticker will qualify for beach parking, and veterans and seniors are exempt from the fee.
And season pass is also available at the clerk's office for $5 or fee waived for financial hardship.
But what's going to be the measure of a financial hardship?
And no questions asked.
What?
No questions asked. If a person goes in and says, I would like my, it's like lunch shaming. If a person wants to use the beach and they have a car,
I don't know if I would not feel comfortable with that.
No, I don't, you know what? I don't want to pay, I got hardship. I don't want to pay taxes. That's not lunch shaming. I still got to pay my taxes. Jeepers. No, that's not lunch shaming. No, I'll make my motion up to the point of the hardship. Other than that, I'm not putting that in my motion. No.
Well, Madam President, if I may, I think what she was trying to say is if somebody goes into the clerk's office and says they have a hardship. I mean, I'm trying to phrase your.
For $5?
I'm just, that's the way I was interpreting it. No questions asked, I think was at the clerk's office. Or I don't know if I'm right, am I wrong, Carrie, is that what you meant?
That's what I was saying. I didn't realize it would be such a
No, I understood what you were saying. I understood completely what you were saying, that if somebody goes to the clerk's office to say, look, I have a financial hardship, there's no questions asked, can I get a beach pass? I understand that.
We're talking $5.
I didn't say I agreed with it, I just said I understood what you were trying to make your point.
No, I'll put my motion the way I put it. I will not include the hardship wording. I don't know if there's gonna be a second on it or not.
Second.
May I, if Madam President, just
Yep.
one. I also, not to complicate this more, but I just want to mention, perhaps in your motion, you could include, we have sold passes for the dinghy and kayak rack. So I believe those passes should also be valid for parking.
right.
I'll amend the motion and include those as well. Yes.
That's a great point.
That lot is now tiny.
Ride your bike, walk, people.
There you go.
Think about it. The kayak as well as the dinghy. I think there's 12 in the dinghy rack. There's 12 in the kayak rack. Beach people, I mean, we are putting a lot of effort into this for probably 30 spaces that are usable. I
Okay.
think either way we go, it's going to be fine. I
Then
second
real quick, before I just want to circle back, what is the time frame on the beach pass parking? Is it 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
So during the week, it would be 9 to 4.
9
And
to
on
4,
the, and on the weekends, it would be 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Okay.
All right, we have one last comment. Mr. Rego would like to speak one last time, and then we take a vote on the motion as it stands.
I'm just curious what it's going to cost to have someone just monitor the stickers. Is it going to be more costly to have somebody monitor the stickers than actually collect the fees that you're going to be making on this?
Well, Louis, this is not about financial to me. This is a deterrent to keep the spaces open for residents. And if we charge the non-residents $10, it may keep them out and keep more spaces open for our residents. It's not about the money. It's about the deterrent to keep the non-residents out, because by law, apparently we can't keep them out by saying resident parking only. That would be the perfect solution. But because we can't do that, I want to deter them from taking the parking spaces from our residents who want to use them.
John, I understand it. And the $5 isn't a big deal for me. To be honest with you, time is a bigger factor to go get all these stickers. And I don't want to put stickers on all my cars. If I'm a resident, as far as I'm concerned, when I get there, if I show you my license, and you know what, I may never go there. But you know what, when I do decide to go there, I don't want to have to go get a sticker or anything. I'll show you my license. I'm a resident. Most people know who the residents are. And like Julie said, you show it. If you're not a resident, you pay. Very simple. I think you're making it very complicated.
You're gonna show that you're a
That's
resident.
not going to deter the non-residents.
Right. And John, he's going to show that he's a resident, and he's going to get a sticker right there on the spot. And if he doesn't
Right.
like it, it goes on the list of everything else people don't like. Motion stands. I
And we
move
have
the
a second?
question. Yeah, Mr. Hanley, I seconded his motion. I moved the
Okay,
question.
Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Hanley,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and myself. Aye. Wow, that was.
That was painful.
We
Yeah.
talked more
Give you
about that.
$5.
And finally, there is a discussion of, or Parks and Rec Director Thibodeau would like to update us on the Warren Summer Camp Recreation COVID-19 Plan and Parent Handbook. I read it from cover to cover. It's comprehensive, it's thorough. Take it away.
So I just wanted to make you aware of what we put in place for the summer. Actually, I applied to the DHS today, so our program has been approved. with all of their recommendations and stipulations. It's just basically ways, and one of the other concerns with asking people for their licenses, we're supposed to be reducing the amount of contact between people, and the person who will be also monitoring the parking lot will also be monitoring the beach, because the lifeguard needs to maintain her eye on the water, or his eye on the water. So that person would be helping us with cleaning and making sure things are disinfected and people are following the rules. But the program itself, we just wanted to make parents feel safer. We've structured it so that we have 14 children per group with one individual leader. We are not doing any off-site field trips this season. We are not doing any special programming, but we are going to keep those groups separated by 14 feet each, and utilize all of Burrs Hill Park. And then also Mary V. Quirk School, when it rains, we have enough spaces indoors to accommodate all the groups that we will be having. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Could we get a copy of this handbook, if it is not already, as a linked document on the town website, please?
It is on the town's website. All of our documents, along with the presentation, is on the recreation page. But I can
Great.
certainly give you, get you a copy of the book itself.
Oh, I have one.
Yep, it was in the packet.
It was in our packet, so I just want to be sure that anybody in the public who might have concerns about precautions being taken due to COVID would have access to that information for their edification and satisfaction. So thank you.
And I want to thank on another note, I want to thank the town council, especially Steve Kalenda, with help with the banners that went up for the class of 2020. They've had a very good reception around the community. The seniors are very happy to see them, along with many of their parents and relatives. So I want to thank the town for doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Hey, Madam President, if I may, Tara Thibodeau really deserves all the credit with those banners. I would just add a little bit of muscle getting them in place where they needed to be. But Tara, that was a great job putting those banners up. And yeah, there are a lot of positive comments on those banners. So job well done. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, thank you, everybody. So we can move on to the finance director. We have revenues and expenditures. We had some backup documentation from the Department of Revenue with some numbers in regard to our meals tax that are kind of confusing, but I guess they will evolve over the course of the coming months. Ms. Chan, did you want to speak on the revenues and expenditures?
Not really. Right now, it's still in the positive trend because of the May quarter. So the remaining month is to be seen, because we have some state aids that are still coming in. That at this point, that I'm not sure if we will collect it or not. So, and that can swing the year-end performance one way to the other.
Okay. Does anybody on the council have questions for the finance director?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to just state what I've always said about the budget. Whatever shortfalls we're going to have, fortunately, we're in a good position to rectify. So I have full faith in our budgeting process, and we're going to get through it. And thank you, Ms. Chan.
Thank you, Fong.
Thank you, Ms. Chan. Thank you, Ms. Bishop. Moving on.
Yes, Michu. Sorry.
Moving on to building official. Discussion and action and authorization for the town council president to sign a lease purchase agreement with Delag Landon Public for a Konica Minolta C458 copier machine. This is a master price agreement. Oh, you are there, Mr. Carvalho.
Yes, We definitely need a good copy machine up there. Building department uses it, and planning and tax assessors. So we've been desperate for a good copy machine for a while.
The old one is no longer functioning.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Councilman Di Pasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Hanley.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
And I for myself. Aye, the new copier. Planning and community development is next. Authorization for town council president to execute an easement agreement between the town of Warren and Piri da Silveira and Sons Properties LLC along Hugh Cole Road. Mr. Rulli, did you want to speak about that?
Sure. Previously, you had voted to approve the easement. However, at that time, we did not have the actual easement document, and the solicitor did not have an opportunity at that time to review it. The survey and the easement agreement have been provided and given to the solicitor for review.
All right.
Anthony, have you?
I reviewed the document. It's in good order for signing.
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the council president to sign the contract, to sign the easement with Da Silva Piri LLC.
Second.
Sorry, the motorcycle has to pass. Straight pipe, gotta get rid of those. I don't know if anybody can hear that. That's outside my window. Councilman Di Pasquale, your vote.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Hanley.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Finally, police chief, authorization to reject all bids submitted for a garage addition and authorization to solicit additional proposals. Police Chief Borges.
He's muted. There he goes.
There he is.
Yes, I spoke to our planner, Mr. Rulli, and the recommendation is that we would like to reject the bids that were proposed to us. They were too high, and we would like permission to speak to local contractors and the one that actually proposed to us.
I'll make a motion. We reject all bids and authorize the police chief and the planner to pursue outside contractors or contractors for the project.
Hey, I got a couple of questions.
Yep, go ahead.
Madam President, Chief, and I don't know if Bob Rulli's still on the line or not.
I am.
Okay, hey, Bob, I'm looking at a couple of these numbers, and the one that jumps out is the 84, but the 129, the 132, and then obviously the 156, which is the highest. What is the discrepancy between the 84 and then, $40,000 difference? Is there a prevailing wage that needs to be applied to this, or is it material, or, I didn't look at the specification sheet on the building, but I look at these four numbers, three of them are relatively close, and then there's one that's not in the same ballpark. And is it your contention that they're all high? That's not what the building should cost?
That's correct. It is a prevailing wage job, but we stripped out the requirement for permits. We were flexible on the need for bonding, and I think it's just the nature of that. People think because it's a municipality that they're going to. The discrepancy was really in the labor charges between the various vendors, not the materials. But it's not a $159,000 job.
So you think the job is $159,000, or it isn't $159,000?
No, I think it's, we've got $35,000 available for the project, and it should be able to come in around that number.
So refresh my memory again. What's the size of the building, square footage wise?
It's 12 by 14.
Yeah, it's a
Like
small.
14.
Yeah, it's really
We built
small.
the shed, Stephen, we built the
Okay.
shed at engine one. That shed at engine one was 35,000, I think. On the opposite side of the parking lot. on the
Yeah,
side.
no, I hear you loud and clear, but like I'm saying, you look at these four numbers, 3 of them are relatively in the same ballpark, and then there's one that's relatively lower. And then Bob's saying the building should have came in at like $40,000, use a round number. So I'm like, what were these 4 companies looking at? They saw the whole same thing. What are you looking at, Bob, that they're not seeing?
As I said, I mean, material costs were very consistent. It was the labor cost.
Okay.
Was a differential.
And what's the current prevailing wage for labor right now?
I don't have, I mean, you have to break it out by what the actual skill is. I don't.
Well, I think a laborer prevailing wage is 55, and I think a skilled carpenter, I think, is somewhere hovering around 80. And you don't quote me on these numbers. But, and I mean, because it's a prevailing wage job, correct?
Well, if we're going out to bid on it, it is. If we're going to sole source it, I don't believe we have to make it.
I'm sorry, you broke up there. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, and I can answer that question. It's prevailing wage is required for anything that we use budgeted funds for. So any contract is going to have a prevailing wage.
Yeah, so the labor rate on the prevailing wage is going to stay the same.
Well, it's a matter of how many hours they have in for it.
Okay, understandable. All right, understandable. I just, again, you look at these 4 numbers and you kind of say, all right, they're all kind of seeing the same thing. And I understand the building's only 12 by 14.
Actually, 20 by 22. Right.
It makes me scratch my head saying, what am I missing?
Councilman Henry?
Yes, Steve, if you break this down on the square footage cost, the 84,000 comes out to $500 a square foot of
Agreed.
construction cost, which is ridiculously high.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I don't know who these contractors are. Were they looking at this as a commercial building that they needed to build with brick and mortar, the whole 9? Or is it a shed construction that you're building with T11 and,
No, it's not going to be a T111 job, but I know when I was a contractor, whenever I was busy, I would always bid extremely high, saying if I got the job, then okay, I'm going to make a fortune. Or if I wasn't really worried about getting the job, I do think that we can get this done for a much lower price than this. Even at the $500 a square foot is ridiculous. I mean, even the cost of a hospital, if you break it out by construction type and square footage, does not come out to $500 a square foot. I know as you get a smaller project, your square footage per square footage goes up because you've got less to spread out the overhead and this and that. But I don't think you're going to get it done for 35 grand, but I do think the 84 is high.
Aren't we comfortable in rejecting?
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, yeah, I have no problem rejecting it.
Yeah, that was my motion.
That's what I'm trying to,
I already made the motion.
I'm
But I would-
seconding it.
I had some questions, and the only time I have an opportunity to speak about this in the open format is right now. So, yeah, that's fine. I'll second the motion to reject if it hasn't already been seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Di Pasquale, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Aye, aye.
Councilman Hanley?
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda?
Aye.
And myself, aye. I think that brings us to the end of the.
Carrie,
Hanley.
Bob Ruley said that they pulled out the permit requirements. I'm hoping he said they just pulled out the permit fee requirements. They're still going to need permits. I just want to make sure that's clear. We can,
Correct, the fees.
okay, yeah, they still will need permits. You can just pull the permit fees out. All right.
Right.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
All righty. Everybody be well, be safe, be good to each other. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Aye.
And Councilman Heckert?
Aye.
And Councilman Hanley?
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night,
Stay safe.
everyone.
See you out there.
Bye, Steve.